Hey everyone, welcome to the MatMadik cast channel. I'm back as it goes. The hiatus is over and I've sorted things out. Plus, better still, I'm about to upgrade my camera setup and everything. Alright, excuse me, let me just grab something I'm gonna need for this. Alright, here we go. Now people, I realize that I have not been giving gaming enough of a look in it on this channel, so let's just jump right in. People, today we got ourselves one of my favorite YouTubers of all time, DJ Slope. He's just gonna give us five video games censored in China for interesting reasons. It's a weird gaming fact. You know, this channel has been very passionately researching music videos, political videos, and for that matter, even bits of news sometimes, and just good old bits of song. But if you know me, judging by the banner of my channel, I'm a gamer, and I thought to myself, when I reacted to his YouTube short, DJ Slopes, he got into the comments and replied, and I thought, why don't I just dedicate all of this reacting time to getting into games? So that's what we're doing today. People, let me know what you think. Let's just check out some gaming facts from the one and only DJ Slope. Oh, yo, what's going on here? Sorry, man. Let me hear that intro again, full volume.
Censorship is a...
Sorry, I'm gonna get rid of this ginormous captions. Oh, sorry, people. Weirdest intro. I mean, no, my intro, not his intro. His one's funny. Just bump that down a bit. Do we even need it? Let's get rid of it. Sorry, I know you probably put time into that, DJ Slope, but I'm just gonna play it. And one more time.
Censorship is an ugly thing. An ugly, ugly thing.
Wait, DJ. Who's you calling Mr. MJ Sonic the Hedgehog theme song writer? Well, not the theme song. Sonic the Hedgehog music writer, an ugly guy.
In some countries, adding the smallest
Darkside
of small black lines can cover up the filthiest images you have ever seen, whereas in other countries, companies go above and beyond to censor every tiny little detail that they can in the most stupid ways possible. However, we can at least understand...
Oh, is that a slight subtle reference to Disney's subliminal message when they're promoting the SEX word for some reason showing up in Lion King, when I think Simba just collapsed on the mountaintop in Lion King, and then of course in the background like dust that flew up in the air from the weight of his body just spelled the word SEX. It was just weird.
That they can in the most stupid ways possible.
That's clever. That's a nice little reference, DJ.
However, we can at least understand why these things are censored. Perhaps it's for nudity reasons. Perhaps it's to cover a symbol that the majority of the world would find offensive. And sometimes it's just to make it more appealing to the Western or Eastern world. And then you have China.
Alright, before we get into that, mate. This, just letting you know, guys, I'm going to call him DJ Scope. He just spans over so many eras in the gaming industry. Yeah, I wonder if he's going to touch on the Nazi swastika, which is an infamous symbol that had been banned from games but allowed in the movie industry. Anyway, but yo, China, boy, I've been working on that topic for quite a while. Let's just see what he's got to say about it.
One of the most powerful countries in the world when it comes to video game sales, yet...
Really? As far as I knew, China banned games for a long time. Let me know.
It's one of the most ruthless when it comes to censorship, which of course brings nothing but headaches to video game publishers who try their best to tiptoe around the country's rather odd requests. Which is what I plan to chat about today on Slope's Game Room in... 5 games censored in China for interesting reasons.
He's a legend. Anyway, DJ Slope.
Number 5.
I mean, let's dig into it.
For people that really want to take Excel spreadsheets to the next level, Football Manager is a beloved series and one that Sega will never tire of. After all, what could be better than building and managing your team to success? well, if you ask me, pretty much any other type of game.
What do you guys take on Football Manager games up? I've never really got into it. But yeah, this whole video reminds me of when Guru Larry was just talking about. Um, Let me not finish that train of thought. I want to say what I'm going to say about Guru Larry talking about. Apparently, a journalist who said something stupid about football management games, not misunderstanding them, saying people would rather play FIFA, and getting a lot of flack for that. But I'll talk about that in another video. But personally, it seemed like a very unappealing genre. But I'm trying to get deeper into the gaming world, being a guy who spent years at uni studying bloody things. But still, till this day, football management games didn't really do it for me. But what else you got to lose, Sega? Anyway.
But you weren't asking me, so we'll move on to China. Yep, turns out that these guys don't like the games either. Well, actually, to be more specific, they didn't like the 2005 incarnation of the game that made them have a rock-hard anger boner, which quickly turned into them banning it in their country. But why? What have they got against spreadsheets? I mean, seriously, what's so offensive about this? Oh, that's Excel again. Sorry. That's better. So yeah, what's the problem here then? Well, when the game was imported to China, the government authorities found that the game had Tibet and Taiwan listed as separate.
Ah, here we go. CCP, bloody hell. What are we going to do with you, eh? Well, in all fairness, despite how the people in China may not agree with the CCP, to say the least, I guess we can go ahead and sell this game somewhere else, eh? But Tibet, freedom for Tibet, oh boy. Anyway, and Taiwan. As of the time of this recording, let's just see what happens with Taiwan going forward. But what are you going to say now, China?
Separate countries. The Chinese takeover of Tibet has been a subject of protest by Tibetans in exile and their supporters. And the idea that Tibet should be independent is a banned topic in China.
Wow.
As for Taiwan, whilst most of the world see them as separate from China, China themselves do not. As far as they are concerned, Taiwan is a renegade province and other countries should break ties. And
sorry, people, just to ask a question about this. As far as I understood, Taiwan was the original capital of China? Or is that... I've gotten... well, of course, when it comes to the actual topic, maybe some people would feel concerned about touching this topic on YouTube, but I personally don't really care about that. If they want to knock off my video, that's fine. But, because you know me, being outspoken. But what's the deal with Taiwan? Taiwan says they were apparently the original capital city of China, and they just decided to break away from China altogether and be their own country. And then China's like, hey man, we want to claim you. In fact, I don't understand the CCP want to claim them. It's important not to mix up the CCP and China, but at this point in the game, when the CCP's pretty much got the boot up the whole country, what the hell can you do? Anyway, let me know what you think.
Allow China to take control and impose their own rule. Having a game where the countries are shown as independents of China caused a massive kick-off. Get it? And as a result, Football Manager was viewed as a serious insult. More importantly though, this wasn't just some hardcore grudge. Unfortunately for Sega, this actually violated several laws in China due to how seriously the country takes in sovereignty claims. This resulted in...
Wait, let me hear again. Bloody hell. To take up the mantle. Anyway, I don't want to be like Mr. What's his name, Top Hat Gaming Man at the moment, taking issues with SNK over new ownership. In my opinion, I mean, to the point of not wanting to cover the upcoming SNK games, saying, "Oh, this game is trash because they're owned by a brutal dictator." Yeah, I mean the game company is. Well, I personally wouldn't take it out on the poor game developers who are wanting to just get a game off the ground and respect the law of the gaming university. They're continuing, but you know, we are at least entitled to have our takes or opinions on something. But you know, I'm always open-minded. I want to learn more about this topic. This is why I think it's great that DJ Slope is touching on this in such a humorous way. Anyway.
A serious insult. More importantly though, this wasn't just some hardcore grudge. Unfortunately for Sega, This actually violated several laws in China due to how seriously the country takes in sovereignty claims. This resulted in the aforementioned ban and a big headache for Sega and Sports Interactive,
That ball of yarn Sonic. Sorry.
who had stumbled into a political landmine that I'm surprised they didn't see coming. I mean, these games still come out every year, right? Well, you see, the irony to this story is that this was never actually intended
Not letting go. I love his choice of songs in the background to bring his points up.
to be released in China to begin with. Well, not this version at least. The game had actually been imported by individuals and then pirated and sold in illegal software stores in China, which has something of a black market for those interested. This resulted in Sports Interactive apologising for China, who are being just so lax with their piracy laws, not wanting to lose the rights to officially release this and future titles in such an important market. And they promised that a separate version for China was being made that would include Tibet and Taiwan as part of China.
No, come on. As much as I dislike people like Tom Cruise for all of his bizarre relationship with certain leaders of a certain cult, if you know what I'm talking about. I saw Top Gun with my missus the other day, the new one. And in all fairness, if you haven't seen the first one, you probably won't get it. So, it's good. People like Tom Cruise and the film companies he worked with that decided to just not kowtow to the CCP when it came to leaving up flags apparently of Taiwan and so on. That's the way to go. But hey, you know what? I'll give you one thing. When it comes to your bottom line, do what you got to do. Eh? You can't blame Sega for wanting to just appease them so much. But it's the whole idea of taking it out of all copies around the world. That sucks. You know, fine. It's a bit like putting a mask on. You know, you may be for it or against it, but in certain circumstances, if you have to, then by all means, muzzle up, eh? Bloody hell. Anyways, keep going.
And that the version that had Taiwan and Tibet as separate nations, that was already doing the rounds, thanks to the pirates, would not be released in China. This way, everyone can go home happy, except for Tibet and Taiwan.
Number 4.
Exciting! Neo Geo!
I gotta say that the joke he made about China having a rock hard anger boner, that is just too funny.
Major Yaku no Kaimaku da! Alright! Baseball game no Ketteban! Baseball Stars 2!
SNK.
Wait, Neo Geo Baseball Stars 2? That game came out decades ago, Dan, you beautiful beast. And you'd be right on both counts. You see, even though this game...
Now I see why people say DJ Slope and Guru Larry are the same person. They speak. You heard that line from Larry before. Marvel. Sorry, we're not talking about Marvel now. SNK. Let's keep going.
It did come out physically many moons ago. What we're talking about today is the Arcade Archives version of the game that came out on modern consoles and PC. SNK and Hamster released a number of the Neo Geo classics digitally for new audiences to explore, and the series did so well. In fact, SNK noted that the game sold particularly well on the Nintendo Switch. Probably because there was, well, you know, no virtual console and Nintendo had yet introduced their Nintendo Switch Online Classics yet. In all of its glory. Now, when it comes to Neo Geo Baseball Stars 2, the Arcade Archive version, which 2 has been out for a couple of years now, fans noticed that in the later part of 2020, the game got an update patch just out of nowhere. And what did this patch include? Did it fix a bug that had lingered for over a decade? Did it add new translations? Change the title? That was also the case for Neo Turf Masters when that became Big Tournament Golf? No. In fact, all this patch actually did was remove any mention of Taiwan and Taipei.
I was waiting for the big drop, and yes, again, weird reasons. Tell me, is it all going to be about their sovereignty claims? Are they insatiable when it comes to that matter? Who can topple the CCP when it comes to putting out games? No, sorry. When it comes to putting out games exactly the way they want to, all the way in China. Well, I guess nobody. I guess this is what we're gonna have to experience in 2022 until certain things occur within 2 years or so. Everybody's gonna have to sort out their own problems themselves when it comes to, I don't know, Western ideals being showcased in their original glory, or glory, if you would, all the way in the East. For people of their own sovereign nations to experience that, they're gonna have to somehow let it change things in the government from the bottom up. In China, the saddest thing is that it seems that that's impossible. This is why I'm not always so keen on people just being so gung ho with fighting for their rights, and or insisting that other people to adhere to their ideologies. Sometimes you just can't win certain battles. If you want to win the overall war, you just gotta play along. But you just anyway, you just have to have patience, I suppose, and laugh about it in the meantime. And thanks to DJ Slope, he makes these laughs nice and good. Anyway, people, let's keep it going.
From the game. But why, I hear you ask? Well, for that one we need to take a closer look at SNK themselves. Now, SNK has gone under a number of changes over the years, such as bankruptcy, rebranding as SNK Playmore.
Wait, what am I talking about? This just went right over my head. This is the whole thing that Guru, the whole company that Top Hat Gaming Man is having beef with right now. And speaking of dictators and, people having issues with sovereignty and wanting to tyrannically, if you will, govern those under them. Yeah, it looks like that's what I wonder if this is the SNK Playmore brand that is ruled by such a person that Top Hat Gaming Man is referring to. If what I said sounded like a word salad, I'm sorry. I'm just coming back after such a long time. But if you know what I'm saying, drop a comment.
Focusing on pachinko and then finally returning fully to the video game scene. Perhaps I'll do a video talking about this company's history in the future because it actually is quite interesting. Regardless, in that time, the company was acquired by Chinese company 37 Games in 2015.
Sorry. SNK was acquired by 37 Games?
While changes to the company's games may have been slow to happen, it seems that the titles were so popular from the Neo Geo re-releases that they had to be changed over time to fit the parent company's new rules, due to China's belief that Taiwan is their sovereign territory, and it was only a matter of time before SNK games were updated to reflect that in their modern releases. And that's it.
There's something about ending a joke on an abrupt cutaway that is just so anyway, that is so effective. It reminds you of Malcolm in the Middle, the way that they cut from one scene, just whip and snap out of it. It's just anyway, DJ Slope is very good with that.
Well, at least we still have the original physical games to go and get if we want that original copy, right? Providing that you're actually willing to sell your house to be able to actually afford them. Oh, bloody hell.
That is hilarious if you want to buy, if you want to buy a bunch of them, that is. But yeah, there's no way I'm living in a 475 quid house. But it's
Number 3. Homefront. The FPS where you play as an American resistance against an occupation of the country by Korea. It was a bit of a mixed bag as far as games. Homefront. The FPS where you play as an American resistance against an occupation of the country by Korea. It was a bit of a mixed.
Sorry, somehow, I don't know if I'm not listening or if I haven't woken up. Let me hear that one last time.
Ah, Homefront. The FPS where you play as an American resistance against an occupation of the country by Korea. It was a bit of a mixed bag as far as games go, with outlets like Play praising the campaign and multiplayer, but disliking most of the game in general, whilst others, like IGN and GameSpot, liked the multiplayer but hated the short campaign. Many reviewers ended up feeling it was too familiar to other games and a bit too generic. But what is interesting about the game is that it features North Korea as the villains, or to be more specific, a united Korea ruled by the North. For those who have studied the politics of the region, this sounds somewhat bizarre, as North Korea, despite having one of the largest militaries in the world, is genuinely viewed to not actually be well equipped and powerful enough to conquer South Korea, let alone become a military power capable of taking...
And let me guess, North Korea being particularly in cahoots with CCP, I ain't gonna stand for that. I love DJ Slop stuff, you know. I mean, so you know, guys, I listen to his stuff like on the daily, on my 2-hour trek to work and back. I mean, he's part of my playlist at least, a large part of it. But there's no one like this guy. He's just churning out quality videos like this on the regular. On the other hand, maybe I'm wrong. My top 3: DJ Slope, Guru Larry, and Top Hat Gaming Man. Even though I've not been listening to him lately since he started to rag on SNK so much. I know that's a bit silly of me, but let's give it a moment and then I'll get back into him. But even Lady Decade's pretty, yeah, I like her stuff, pretty good, very good. But I haven't been on that so much. I want to know, guys, if there are any more gamers like this I should react to that you recommend. If so, please comment.
Taking over and occupying the United States of America, so what were equipped and powerful enough to conquer South Korea, let alone become a military power capable of taking over and occupying the United States of America, so what was the reason for this strange change? Well, considering it's in this video, it's pretty obvious, right? Quite simple, really. The PC market in China is enormous, and THQ decided that they could not risk alienating the country and getting banned there. As such, the Chinese were swamped with Koreans and the story was reworked in the process. In a bit of irony, whilst THQ avoided getting the game banned in China, they actually ended up seeing the game banned in South Korea instead. The subject of Korean unification...
Banned in South Korea, but why? Because it would proliferate from there. What an inordinate amount of sway the CCP has in an industry that they probably have been in the dark about over decades due to their, I understand, issues with gaming, distracting kids from studies and so on.
And the fear of an invasion is a sensitive topic in that country, and the game handled...
Let me hear that, sorry.
Seeing the game banned in South Korea instead. The subject of Korean unification and the fear of an invasion is a sensitive topic in that country, and the game handled it with all the precision of a sledgehammer.
Guys, I highly recommend you watch a certain Korean drama that I binge watched for the longest of time. Maybe I've seen it overall probably 5 or 6 times. One called Empress Key. I understand it's not historically accurate. Some people actually hate the Empress of China called Key, and the Korean drama makes her look like a hero. But in this dramatization, they really go into the whole issues of the whole power struggle of China and Korea over the years, and the resultant and the tyranny that ensued in the process, which essentially has resulted in the fragmented nation of today, North and South. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, keep going.
Japan also censored the game, as Japanese and Korean relations are always a touchy subject there. And as you may have guessed, this was not the only time this switcheroo happened when it came to China and Korea either. Let's move on.
From me in-laws. Oh no, in the comments, what's the deal with Japan and Korea? Just so you know. Anyway.
Number 2.
Yeah, I know about the colonization and so on, but I want to know if anyone knows from the Japanese perspective as to what's the beef from Japan to Korea's, not just to Korea with Japan, you know. But yeah, let me know at your own discretion. See, I love this little compilation he's got here. This game is bloody well pointed to a ton of things. It's quite ubiquitous. Anyway.
Doom. Whilst everyone tries to get the game running on, well, pretty much everything, on the flip side, you've got Crysis. A game that can barely play on anything except for the Polium 1, of course. Yeah, I bet that can play it. All you gotta do is believe. Regardless, for those that could play it, not only did they get a brand new heater for their house, they also got a really good game. Released back in 2007, the game was set in the futuristic year of 2020, which involved some rather serious world tensions that could ultimately destroy the world.
Oh, quite prolific. I mean, quite, what's the word? Reminiscent.
So in other words, it was a whole lot less crazy than what actually happened in 2020. The villains were once again North Koreans, this time invading neighbouring countries, such as the fictional island near the Philippines, which they did in order to get an artefact that had been unearthed. Now, having North Korea be the bad guys may just seem like a very simple way to get around censorship in China. You know, changing North Korea from China. And you'd be right in thinking that.
Wait. As far as I understand, North Korea and China are quite communist, so I imagine that they'd be, you know, neither of which would like to see each other portrayed as villains. Well, let me just shut up and let this thing play. Let me see where he's taking us.
The game is set in the South China Sea, and North Korea has weapons and gear that they simply would just not have. As for their military ability and presence in the area, however, well, that makes perfect sense for China, and a look through the game's files does indeed reveal that China was planned to be the villains. Once again, the need for the PC market in China reared its ugly head, and Crytek and EA decided to make the swap in order for the game to make a decent Chinese profit.
This is crazy. What a touchy bunch of pussies, I gotta say. Because how in the hell is one... This is a problem with absolute power, as I say, well, if you will. Well, at least as it's been portrayed. How in the world is one stupid place, and I'm saying that with all free speech rights afforded us Westerners, how is one place such as this able to get the world to play along with its play along with its image? It's like you want to be flattered by people. That's just crazy tyranny. You want everybody to flatter you around the world. Who dare mention your name? It's worse than saying Voldemort, you know, and having that word being a buzzword to get you tracked in the Harry Potter universe, which is the equivalent now of saying a buzzword on YouTube and getting cancelled. But yeah, surely us have a stringent please praise me policy, don't they? Anyways, keep going.
And by doing so, it worked out well for them, as they managed to avoid the ban and go on to make 2 sequels and a remaster of the original.
Oh, whoa, what's this? Success?
Decent Chinese profit. And by doing so, it worked out well for them, as they managed to avoid the ban and go on to make 2 sequels and a remaster of the original in 2020. Which can apparently also now run on the Nintendo Switch. Amazing! Hot, 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 hot! Number 1. Whilst the previous reasons on this list were censored in China for commercial reasons or political reasons, this
pretty pretty much all political reasons.
Next one was also censored in China for a completely justifiable reason.
Something reasonable. Now, yes, I like to to appeal for something more. Um, to appeal to something more reasonable. We'll definitely put China and the Chinese gaming market in a better light as of their reputation thus far.
Koei, now Koei Tecmo, are renowned for strategy games and love of exploiting Chinese history. Koei develops multiple strategy and war games that have involved China over the years, such as the Romance of the Three Kingdoms series, an adaptation of the seminal work of Chinese literature. And when it comes to their series PTO, or Pacific Theatre of Operations, or
Jitoku no Ketsiden,
as it's known in Japan,
That was DJ Young Guru Larry, right? Let me hear that again.
Pacific Theatre of Operations, or
Jitoku no Ketsiden.
Teitoku no Ketsudan. I mean, let me just say in Japanese, Romaji. Teitoku no Ketsudan. Keitoku no Tetsudan. I probably sound even a tad foreign there, but that's more how it's pronounced. But the way who I've guessed was Guru Larry saying that, said it was a lot funnier.
as it's known in Japan, Koei focused on World War II battles set in the Pacific
If it wasn't him, it might as well be.
Theatre. The first game was a massive success for the company, and they followed it up with a sequel soon after. These games involve battles between Japan and other nations, primarily America, during World War II, and there were no real issues with these as far as most were concerned. However, when Koei were releasing their third entry, the company ran into some serious troubles with their plans. Why? Well, Koei were planning on using battles from the Second Sino-Japanese War, which is a topic of...
Oh, bloody hell. Well, I find this more reasonable, but yes, it's all political. Bloody hell. I was just hoping that they'd have something in terms of moral decency, in terms of, no excess nudity or something. But, no. It's all about our political sensitivities and history to do with war claims and so on. So, that's, as far as China is concerned, that's all that matters right now. Well, the CCP, bloody hell.
Of extreme sensitivity in China. Well, Koei were planning on using battles from the Second Sino-Japanese War, which is a topic of extreme sensitivity in China.
Yeah, just so you know. Yeah, when I was growing up, I used to. It may rub people the wrong way, but no, in fact, let me just be honest with you. You know me. There's a Japanese anime called Barefoot Gen that was all about the horrific effects of the atomic bomb dropping in Japan, and I was, of course, heartbroken by that show. I remember when I first saw it in the university library when I was at college, I was just crying my eyes out. People are watching, like, what's wrong with him? It's so sad. Yeah, indeed, it was. It's still a moment, an issue that could cause me to well up. That being said, I never look. There's always more to something than meets the eye. I never wondered why in the world would some countries around the world would think that Japan needed to be blasted in such a horrible way. And then I looked into Japan's history and I was like, goodness gracious, Japan has done some horrible things in the past to other countries, including when they invaded China. And I was like, crikey, that just blew my mind. And yeah, Japan definitely was on some sort of a rampage before the end of the Second World War, and had caused quite a bit of horrific trauma, not only to their own nation but people around the world. And yeah, it just lit my eyes up to the realization that when countries have bad blood with each other, bad history and so on, as to why they won't get along today with each other, there's probably a good old reason that if you dig into it, would probably lead you to say, all right, this indeed is a sensitive topic. Let's just not go there if we're not about to do it properly. So, yeah, I can at least understand why these issues are such triggers for these guys. and to stabilize the whole gaming industry, well, the gaming market in the process, they just stay clear of this stuff. But that being said, let's see how this story plays out.
For those wondering why this would be an issue, Japanese wartime actions against China were considered horrendous, including what is referred to as the Nanjing Massacre or the of Nanjing. The actions of the Japanese government during the Second Sino-Japanese War are a point of serious contention between Japan and China, and the situation is not helped by the fact that Japan has been accused of historical revisionism when it comes to their wartime actions. The Japanese...
Jesus. So again, this is another thing about reason as to why I'm curious as to why certain people in Japan have an issue with certain people in Korea. I mean, whereas it would appear that the people in Korea would have more to gripe about with regards to Japanese treatment of them in the past. So, but again, there's two sides to every story. So I do want to know everything. It's not enough to just say, now I hear your side of the story. I don't want to hear anything from you. It's like, I want to hear, I'm an inclusive dude. I want to get the whole picture. So thank you very much, bloody hell. DJ Slope for not just having a very lateral take on the matter. Maybe arguably in terms of this narrative, but he's at least looking at things. He's got such a broad span with the way he just delves into history, that he'll give a decent sized perspective on the matter as he talks about it. Let's keep going, guys.
Government has never apologised for their actions during this time, often due to the aforementioned revisionism. So not only was setting a game during these events bad enough, but Koei wanted a Chinese localization for the game as well. As you can imagine, this did not go down well with their Chinese localization staff, who were outraged at entertainment being made by a Japanese company about a war in which atrocities were committed against their country by the military of Japan.
Yeah, that's certainly going to sway them. I mean, rock them to their core
and promptly quit in protest. Fortunately, Koei did learn from this and not only left the game in Japan, but for the fourth PTO outing, they had no battles set in China whatsoever, probably due to wanting to apologise for their actions.
You want to apologise, do you?
Supporters.slopesgameroom.com is the website that you need to visit in order to get access to absolutely every single thing I've ever done, past, present and future. Director's cut versions filled with content that YouTube just simply does not allow, all completely ad-free, an insane amount of extras that have never been released, and as I am now on holiday, you get all of these videos that you are seeing right here on the screen in early access whilst I'm gone, with Dino Crisis: The Complete History being the next big video that I am working on. That'll be ready in about a week or so. As stated, all...
He's on holiday, is he? Well, I hope he checks this out. I'm doing these videos to kind of continue to promote certain people. I understand the YouTube algorithm doesn't always do justice to certain creators to get their word out of their new upcoming stuff. So it's one thing I love to do for people when I do my reactions, is to help promote their works. I highly recommend you check out DJ Slope's catalog, guys. He's really quite the gaming historian. Yep.
All of these videos will be available first right here at supporters.slopesgameroom.com, where you can get access to all of this content by becoming a Patreon or YouTube member. Just like all of these awesome people that you see.
Alright, I'm not sticking around for the shout outs. Thank you very much everyone for checking out this video. DJ Slope, you rock on, and we'll catch up next time. Peace.